Does your ceiling leave you feeling a little claustrophobic? Coming up on SCMP Property.
There are also quite a lot of excess industrial space.
There's quite a clear divide between domestic and non-domestic use.
Flats in Hong Kong generally subscribe to the one-size-fits-all theory. Whether you're 6'3" or 3'6", you'll probably go home to flats that are similar heights from floor to ceiling. One viewer wonders whether he'll ever be able to get the space he craves. He writes, "I've just moved from New York where I had a fabulous studio loft. I'd like to find a similar loft here in Hong Kong, but I'm finding there's hardly any space for artist types. Any suggestions?" Our first expert believes there's an abundance of loft-style spaces available, but doesn't expect they'll be used as residential buildings anytime soon.
Industrial space can be converted at reasonable prices, prices meaning premium that you pay to the government. You can convert them for office and probably some commercial uses. So you may consider setting up your art studio in certain industrial building, but you cannot live in it.
A bit of good news then. It depends on what you're planning to use these loft spaces for. Restrictions on the conversion of industrial spaces into residential lofts make lofts a rarity. But there's nothing stopping you from using these spaces as a studio to showcase your artistic skills. But given the popularity of lofts in cities like New York, why aren't property developers converting more of these disused industrial spaces into residential buildings?
Because if it is going to get converted, you'd have to go to the government to pay a premium to convert to domestic, and that premium could be quite high. And at the end of the day, it might be cheaper to knock the building down and build a whole new block.
Once again, it all boils down to the bottom line. It costs too much money to convert an industrial space into a residential one, and property developers can in fact make more money by knocking down decrepit industrial buildings and replacing them with residential ones. So, Hong Kong may not have lofts in the New York sense, but surely there's somewhere in Hong Kong that can satisfy you artistic types. Somewhere with a bit more headroom that gets the creative juices flowing.
My suggestion would be that in some of the traditionally older areas in Hong Kong, such as Happy Valley, places like Hollywood Road in Sheung Wan, you can still source around properties of older age, and perhaps they could, in most cases, they can actually offer more generous space, much higher floor to ceiling height. So that if one's going to move in, they could actually play around with all this artist decoration and much more trendy filler works in those places.
So if you're looking for a studio loft, then industrial conversions may not be your best bet. Chances are the cost of conversion will be too high for both you and your property developer. But if you're desperate for a bigger space, then older districts may be the way to go. A bit more space and a bit more inspirational. That's all for this week. This has been Richard Pine.